Hi, and welcome back to We Need a Roads, a podcast where we watch way too many films so you don't have to, and then shout about award shows like our opinions actually matter. I'm Neil, and if you're watching on YouTube, yes, the picture in the thumbnail is me, and just like Mr. Strickland, no, I've never had hair. And no, I have not aged 40 years overnight, although that picture is about 20 years ago. That's just what happens when you care about cinema more than your own well-being. And joining me, because he's the only other person who cared about the BAFTAs from the We Need a Roads crew, it's Luke from the Howdy Beans podcast.
Hello, everybody. It's a pleasure to be here. I'm still claiming squatters' rights. They haven't gotten rid of me yet. And yes, the thumbnail, again, I was very young in that picture. I know I look like a magician, or at least a magician's apprentice to the master. But yeah, I was a young being, in that photo.
I believe Marie and David said at the time, our co-hosts, who are not here because they don't like awards, said, was Luke even born when that picture was taken? And I was like, how dare you? How very dare you? He was at least 7 or 8.
Yeah, I was little,
And yes, I believe David's exact words were when I asked him to be on this episode, I don't give a rat's ass about the BAFTAs, to which Marie then also agreed, and Jose is still sulking because he's not been able to make an episode at all this year yet. So Luke, tell me, why are they wrong and why should we talk about the BAFTAs?
Well, I'll talk about why I love the BAFTAs. That's probably the best way to start. I agree with David and Marie. I don't really care much about awards ceremonies, specifically like the Oscars and stuff like that. The reason why I love the BAFTAs is because it celebrates British film as well as film from around the world. It celebrates British movies and British cinema. And being again a lover like you guys here, who is a big fan of movies, that's why I like the BAFTA so much, because it celebrates that, and it is sort of inclusive. It will talk about not just the big movies; it will also highlight producers, makeup artists. It will talk about sound engineers. It will look into movies like The Ballad of Wallace Isles, which is a brilliant movie that I watched recently, which Neil put me onto, and completely changed my sort of brain. I was like, oh my god, that movie's incredible. But it highlights movies like that, movies that wouldn't get the time of day. Maybe in a Sundance festival, but on a big stage, possibly not. So that's why I love the BAFTAs, because they look after the little guy, they look after the people behind the screen as well as in front of the screen.
I love them to a point, and I'm genuinely happy with like the nominations and the way the awards were shared out. But my problem with, and this has been the problem with the ceremony for me for the last couple of years, is the scripts are terrible. Like Alan Cumming is a very funny man. The script he had was terrible as usual. I mean, the opening sketch was a Zoom call. Yes, let's remind everyone of COVID in our opening, shall we?
Yeah.
Like I was like,
it
what
felt
are you
very
doing?
COVID coded.
Yeah. And then they had a box for Leonardo DiCaprio, and they didn't do anything with it.
No.
What was the point of the box? I'm going to have a little rant about what I didn't like first before we kind of get into the awards and start working our way through them. Why did you have so many TV and music stars presenting awards? Like Stormzy.
Yeah.
Fair play. He's a titan of music industry and he's trying to be an actor. Bryan Cranston and Catherine Hahn, who actually were genuinely two of the funniest people there in their presentation. It was one of the longest bits as well, but they were really good. But they are more known as TV stars and not film stars. So, and again, you have a separate BAFTAs TV awards. So, is it just, will they just go, oh, who can we get? Who's a big name? Because if you look at the Oscars, they generally get the opposite. So like Best Actor will be presented by last year's Best Actress, and I just don't think they wanted to do that here or could do that. One of my big bugbears. So yeah, we're not going to kind of do our standard good and the bad and what the fuck are the BAFTAs, although we actually could. I actually did my predictions for 10 of the big categories, and I got 7 out of 10 of them right. So I was pretty happy about that. I want a little bit of a mini rant about the in memoriam section, right? You don't cut back to the singer every couple of frames. Like you show the singer, you start the song, and then you show everyone who passed that in that year. And again, like you say, what's really good about this section is it shows you like the production designers, it shows you the producers, it shows you costume people, it shows you the jobs that someone has done their whole lives, and that's the only time they've probably ever been mentioned on TV.
Yeah.
But they kept cutting back to the singer. Song was great, performance was good, but you don't do that. You stay showing the people, and then you cut back to her at the end of the performance. My biggest pet peeve of the whole ceremony, though, is montaging off half the awards. You literally had cinematography, music, production design, costume, short films, I think was documentary as well, or documentary might have been on them.
I think it might be documentary. I'd have to look at the list.
And of course, for me as well, editing.
Yeah.
And they were all speeches were like literally cut down to, and here's the winner, and they maybe got one line and then one line at the end. And it's this weird thing that I find more with the Oscars than with the BAFTAs, but they was like, oh, we need to get people watching it. We need as many eyes as possible. And the Oscars has been really bad at this with all the social media bollocks they've been trying to do for the last however many years. And I'm just like, you're trying to appeal to the wrong audience. These shows are for people who love films and want to see films celebrated. If the whole ceremony was 5 hours long and live, I absolutely love that. I'd watch the whole thing from start to finish. I wouldn't be fussed about the adverts coming. And generally, the Oscars are live like that. But this show was only 4 hours. I think this show was only 3 to 4 hours in running time, and they cut it in half because it started. I remember it started at 5, so it was advertised as live, and it wasn't. It was on the tape delay.
Yeah,
and we're going to get into tape delay a little bit later.
Yes.
But you're watching this, and you're just like, why not show all the awards and the ceremonies that happen, or start it on BBC Two? Start it on BBC Two. Have the minor awards to start off the evening in their view, not mine, and then go live when the bigger ones come in.
I was just thinking that because I'm sure they used to do that. They used to say if it was on BBC One, they would have the minor awards then, and then they'd be like, if you want to see the big awards, tune in at this time. So you had the choice, but they don't do that anymore. It's like because I remember watching this on the when it a couple of days ago. If I'm recording this now, and I was sitting there going, I feel like we've missed some sort of awards, and then they had the montage. I was like, oh. I would have liked to see that, and the Oscars do that. I don't think, and I get why they do it because they want to memorize sort of screen time. Like you said, I'm somebody who loves the movies. I'm somebody who loves the behind the scenes things. That's why I'm watching the awards because I want to see the costume designer and stuff like that. And
this is the biggest moment of their careers, and it's not getting shown on its so-called biggest celebration.
Because, like I said, if it wasn't for the people behind the scenes, no matter how good the actors are, the movie isn't getting made. It reminds me that Daniel Radcliffe recently did an interview. I think it was on Hot Ones, or I think it was on GQ because he was talking about his one-man show. And somebody asked him about, him spending so much time with like high-ranking sort of actors and that sort of things while he was doing Harry Potter. And he goes, well, actually, no. He said the big high-name actors like Maggie Smith and all that was only really there for like 10 days for how many months he was there shooting. He's actually has more of a friendship and a connection with the cast and the crew, the makeup artists and the costume designer more than anything else. And that made me think of like, well, it's probably the same for every other actor on Pro because you'll meet the same people within industry. And the point I'm trying to get at is the fact of those people are incredibly important. And like you said, to have a moment of, oh my God, I've got an award for my work and just be a highlight reel, be considered, oh, you're not as important as having like Leonardo DiCaprio get an award or something like that. That rubs me wrong. I'm like, well, no, I want to see the person who did the costume design. I want to see the makeup artists, the sound effects, because if it wasn't for these people, the movies that we love wouldn't be as good. They're not just made out of thin air. Like there is a team behind them.
Well, Luke, it is now time before we get into and we know what you're wanting us to talk about the massive controversy, but we'll get into that after we've gone through the awards winners, and then we can talk about there. So first up, we had adapted screenplay, and it was Pillion, Hamnet, Bujonia, Ballad of Wallace Island, and One Battle After Another. And I was really wanting it to be the Ballad of Wallace Island here because it's, as we said, it's a small British film. It's a very indie sensibility. It's a beautiful little film about loneliness and connection. And I thought this was the only one it had a chance of winning anyway.
Yeah.
But then One Battle After Another. This is the one that One Battle After Another didn't actually need to win, I think. But having said that, it is adapted from a really... if you've seen Paul Thomas Anderson, he did a film a few years back called Inherent Vice, and that was adapted by Thomas Pynchon, who One Battle After Another was also adapted from his book Vineland. And that's what kind of threw me, because the book of Vineland, if I'm getting this right, was set in the 70s in when the film starts, and then jumps forward to about the 90s. And this one started in the 90s and jumped forward to the modern day. So they were trying to change it. And as I was watching it, it did feel of that ilk, One Battle After Another. It felt like a Tarantino style, especially for the first hour. Like I said, me and David watched it and we was like, what the fuck is going on? And then it hits its groove and you're with it the whole way then.
I still need to watch it. The reason I haven't seen it is because I've heard how long It isn't how long it takes to not get good, but get to a point where you're like, oh my god, this is great. But I have recently watched Ballad of Wallace Island, and like I said, the music, the acting, how it's all set in one location with a small cast of characters with an incredible script, and by the end of it, you're left being like, that you just feel changed. You just feel like, oh my god, that was brilliant. And I felt bad after it because I was like, oh my god, Neil was talking how good it was, and I didn't listen to him.
I was the only person on the podcast who mentioned that film last year, which meant it didn't get into our top 10 films of the year. It just got mentioned on my honourable mentions.
No, it definitely deserved a win here. It should have won. If anything, this is one of those it should have won.
Next up, we got Best Animated Film. And again, this is a strange one because you're Mr. Animation, Luke.
Yeah.
So my first question when I saw this was like, one, where is K-pop Demon Hunters?
Yeah.
And two, why are there only 3 nominees?
Well, yeah, so they had the singers of K-pop Demon Hunters there because they sung the song, didn't they?
Yeah.
And I thought, okay,
that didn't make any sense.
They're going to be animated. They wasn't there at all. I haven't seen Zootopia 2. I've heard it's really, really good. I've seen Elio. With Elio, it's a good film, interesting premise, but it's Pixar, but it doesn't feel like Pixar. Like, I can't really explain it. It's not one of their best ones. So I didn't think it was going to win. I knew Zootopia would win. Haven't heard of Little Emily. Great title, love it, but I've never heard of it. So I wasn't surprised that Zootopia 2 had won because it I think that movie's already made $1 billion.
I think it's mainly because it's massive in China. The Chinese love it. And that's why it's done so well. I guess it's because of the animal characters. I know animals obviously being a big thing in China, which is, I'm guessing, part of the reason.
Well, Elio deals with aliens and stuff like that as well. And it is beautiful, and it is masterclass of Pixar. Like, there are some scenes like, oh my god, that looks really, really good. But for me personally, with the movie, the story's just, it's there, but it's not really memorable. You'll watch it once and be like, okay, I've seen it. I don't need to go back and rewatch it.
We're following this through the BAFTA website, just so if you're wondering why we're doing it in this weird order, this is the order they have it on their website. Next up is Best Film, which should definitely be at the end. And our nominations were Sinners, Sentimental Value, Mighty Supreme, Hamnet, One Battle After Another. I always thought, hands down, this was going to be a battle between Sinners and One Battle After Another, and it was One Battle After Another. Hamnet has stood an outside chance because it's a very British film, and the BAFTAs like to reward their own sometimes. And Mighty Supreme, I didn't think was ever going to win anything. Sentimental Value was there as a sentimental choice because it was up for Best Foreign, which I believe it won, which we'll get to in a minute. What I would have liked is a split, because what we get Best Director and Best Film, both One Battle After Another, which is Paul Thomas Anderson. And I would have preferred a split. I would have preferred, fine, Best Film, One Battle After Another, Best Director, Ryan Coogler. Or other way round. I would have been happy with either of those there.
Sinners was a surprise for me because I think we said in like our top 10 movies, I loved Smoke and Stack. Like Michael B. Jordan, how he played both roles reminded me of the movie Legend with Tom Hardy, where he played both roles of the Craig twins. Where it's like, you know that they're like Tom Hardy, but the way they're played, you're like, oh, they're different characters. And it was the same with Smoke and Stack of like, yes, they're twins, but they're different. And then obviously having the whole context behind it, and then you had the vampires and all that, and then it was just one of those, like an onion. As you were peeling, oh my god, this gets so deep, and I love it. And I just kind of wanted a prequel movie where you just had those two. Forget about the vampires, just them two.
There are a lot of people who want more Sinners films because it was a massive hit, wasn't it?
I don't want the futurists. I don't want them to go in the future with like modern time vampires. I don't want that because that's too like Blade. But I would happily then go back in time without the vampires, just having Smoke and Stack as a young
Chicago being gangsters.
Yeah. Like, and that's what I mean. Like, that for me, that's the sign of a brilliant best film, because you not only want more, but you're specifically like, I want this specific thing, or I want more of this, or more of this character. You know what I mean? And again, I haven't seen One Battle After Another, so again, I can't comment on it. For me, yes, Sinners would have been my vote here.
Same, mate.
Yeah.
Now, we're going to have to sadly skip over British short animation and British short film purely because we haven't seen any of the films. Because, again, it's just access. Where do you find these films? But the winner of Best Short Animation was Two Black Boys in Paradise. And the winner of Best Short Film was This Is Endometriosis, I believe. Again, I didn't know anything about this. But I did see in the montage bit, they had a bit from the lady, I think it was the director of the film, who was talking really passionately about it. And her speech was like, it makes me want to go and seek this out now, because that was such a really powerful speech he gave. So yes, this is endometriosis, and I'm probably saying that wrong as well. But I'm definitely going to try and find out where I can see that, as it's now a BAFTA winning short. Next up is casting, which also obviously was a new category brought in at the Oscars a couple of years ago, and I don't know how long we've had it at the BAFTAs, but of course they left it off the main broadcast as well.
Mm.
But we had Sinners, Sentimental Value, One Battle After Another, Mighty Supreme, but winning its first BAFTA of the night, I Swear.
Yes.
One Battle After Another, you can just cast all those actors and you know it's going to be good, right? Mighty Supreme, again, Sinners. I mean, you can't argue with any of the nominations; they're all superb. But I Swear. So we'll talk a little bit about Robert Aramayo later. But when I first saw the film, first of all, I didn't know he was English because his Scottish accent was so amazingly good. And two, I didn't realise he was Elrond from the Rings of Power TV show as well.
Didn't know that one.
Yeah, he plays an elf. He literally plays young Elrond. And so you're like, holy fuck, how is this guy who looks like a young Scottish guy? And just, yeah. So casting, absolutely, no problems with that. Now, it's a category I didn't even know was a category because you have best animation, but I guess it was trying to split them. And weirdly, this has more nominations than the best animated category. Children's and family film. And there was Zootropolis 2, Lilo and Stitch. So why wasn't Lilo and Stitch nominated for best animated film?
That's a good question, actually.
Why are there 4 nominations here and only 3 there? It doesn't make any sense,
no,
BAFTA.
It doesn't.
And then weirdly, the third nominee is a film called Arco, a French sci-fi one that Marie has been going frantic about because it's not coming out in Portugal anytime soon. And we're actually getting it in the cinemas in the UK soon. And so I think I'm going to go and see it to torment her. But it's not been released in the cinemas in the UK, but it's been nominated as Best Children and Families Film. Make it make sense. How can you be nominated if it's not been released yet in the cinema?
That's what? Yeah, no. You think you could only nominate if it's actually been shown in British cinemas?
Yeah, right. So I don't know how any of this works. And anyway, none of that mattered because the winner was I think it was an Indian film called Bong.
Yeah,
And I had never heard of it, but it looks quite funny. There was a little scene where there was two young boys and a girl, and she put her hand over her mouth and says, "You got to get in the back of my dad. You've got to get in the back with my dad." And it was a coffin. I believe, and I was like, "Okay, this looks interesting." So I'm going to go and seek that out as well.
This is one of those where I generally thought Zootopia 2 was going to win again because I thought I haven't heard it. Lilo and Stitch, the sort of live action. In my opinion, the animation is better. And they ruined certain things with the live action one where I was like, yeah, Stitch looks fantastic, but that's about it. So I was like, yeah, it's a no-brainer for Zootopia. So when Bong won, I was like, what's that movie? Never heard of that.
Yeah.
So again, like you, Neil, I'm very much the fact of I'm going to go check that movie out just because I'm just like, I don't know what this is.
And the weird thing about that is Bong is live action, whereas Arco, Lilo and Stitch and Zootropolis are all animated. So it's kind of that thing that I think as fans of animation you get annoyed about, the way it is viewed as, oh, it's animation, therefore it's childish.
Yeah.
I just don't understand how they come up with some of these categories and how many films get nominated. Like, surely it should be the same amount of films per category that are nominated. So, like, next we have cinematography. I've got a personal favourite here that I would, again, all 5 of them, One Battle After Another, Frankenstein, Mighty Supreme, Sinners, and Train Dreams. For me, just because it's a little film that could, I would have liked to see Train Dreams. Because Train Dreams it looks amazing, but because it was a Netflix film, it only got a minor release.
Yeah.
And I didn't get a chance to see it in the cinema. But I am getting a chance to see it in the cinema because Cineworld are doing a re-release of all the top 10 best Oscar-nominated films, of which Train Dreams is one. So just the cinematography is beautiful in it. Whenever there's amazing cinematography in a film, I would say every image could be a painting. And that's what Train Dreams is like. It's an amazing film. But sadly, it didn't win. One Battle After Another one, which, yet again, the cinematography is great. But I wouldn't say it was nowhere near as beautiful as Train Dreams, Sinners, and even Frankenstein. Frankenstein looks amazing as well.
I was just about to say, me personally, if I had to choose the winner, I would have went with Frankenstein. Because visually, what they were able to do with that, with practical effects and visual effects and the cinematography, because they did show bits when they usually showed about the CGI, you was like, oh my god, they did a lot with that film, and it looked really, really good. So personally, I would have went with Frankenstein. I haven't seen One Battle Another, but I would imagine because it's Paul Thomas Anderson, there's going to be a lot of really good cinematography.
Yeah. Have you seen Train Dreams yet?
No, but you said it's on Netflix. I'm going to watch it.
Watch it. It's amazing. It'll be the 3rd film I've added to the list after I Swear and Ballad of Wallace Island, where you're like, my God, that film's amazing. It's career best for Joel Egerton. Like, he should be up for awards for that as well, to be fair. But speaking of Frankenstein, it won the next category we're going to talk about, which is Best Costume Design. Again, you can't argue with any of these films.
Well, I generally thought this would be between Sinners and Wicked, because, like you said, even though Sinners is a period based one, it's still, with the vampires, you're creating a world, and it's the same with Wicked. That's one whole sort of big fantasy world. One thing I don't know if you know is a bit of trivia. Originally, the costumes that were going to be used for Sinners were originally planned for the Blade movie. So originally, the Blade movie was going to be a sort of period drama during like the 1920s originally, but
I did
because
not
they
know
could,
that.
yeah, no, this is real, and that because they couldn't get the script or get it working, the lady Ruthie Carter, took all her designs that she was going to use for, and some of the costumes that she made for Blade, to be used for Sinners instead. So
Amazing.
we would have had a Blade period piece with this costumes that you see in cinemas. I'm surprised that Wicked or Sinners didn't win it, but I get why Frankenstein got it.
I'm quite happy with the Frankenstein
Yeah,
win.
I am.
Next up, we had Best Director, which I kind of already shit the bed on by telling you Paul Thomas Anderson won it earlier. But again, from the other nominations, you had... Now, again, this doesn't make a bit of sense to me, because you had 6 nominations instead of 5 for Director. So you had Chloe Zhao for Hamnet, Joachim Trier for Sentimental Value, Josh Safdie for Mighty Supreme, Yorgos Lanthimos for Begonia, Ryan Coogler for Sinners, and Paul Thomas Anderson, who won. And again, so films you haven't talked about here a bit. Begonia, again, brilliant film, but I think... I don't know. I don't think it did as much in terms of direction as... I feel this was always going to be Coogler or Anderson's for me.
Yeah.
I think there's not anything as flashy or showing the style of directing in Sentimental Value. It's a brilliant film, but the story and the characters and the performances pull you in a way that... And the same with Hamnet, actually. They're not what you would say... They're all technically massively impressive films, but they don't have that level of, you're watching something really cool directed, because they're doing the invisible lifting. You're watching the film and it's pulling you in with the characters, and it's pulling you in the characters and the story, not the technical aspects. Whereas some of the shots in One Battle After Another, there's a chase scene towards the end, and you haven't seen anything like it in screen for years. Same with Coogler. You have to talk the scene where Sammy's playing guitar and they fuse that alone probably should have got Coogler Best Director for me. Just having the thought to go, do you know what? I want to do this scene where this happens. The first time I watched it, I was like, what in the fuck am I watching?
The bit at the end when he goes into the river / little lake, even just that, when you got all the vampires around him, you see their eyes glowing and the sun's coming down. I'm like, like that is like, oh, so good. Such good direction.
Next up comes to my category. Not that I'm nominated, but one day, maybe never. Best editing. And of course, as I mentioned earlier, this was edited off the fucking ceremony down to a montage, which I'm sure all editors absolutely loved. First off, we have Sinners, which is Michael P. Chavois. Next, we have Mighty Supreme, which is Ronald Bronstein and Josh Safdie. House of Dynamite, Kirk Baxter. Sorry, House of Dynamite. No, you should not be nominated for anything. I know why it's been nominated, because they're trying to create... Their film does do a really good job of ratcheting up the tension. But I don't know, I was disappointed with it as it went. F1, F1 is superb. But again, how much of that is traditional editing and how much of it is the sound editing?
Or CGI as well, yeah.
Or CGI that combines for that. So, of course, it goes to One Battle After Another and Andy Jurgensen. Again, I would probably have leaned towards Sinners on this. Because, again, the sequences are just superb. Next up, we have the Rising Star Award. And I've got to admit, I had not heard of Posey Sterling before. I'd only heard of Archie Madekwe from being in Saltburn.
Yeah.
And again, Miles Catton and Chase Infinity, I think they were only just known for the 2 films, big films of the year, which was Sinners and One Battle After Another. And then the surprise for us was we had a young Robert Aramayo, who from I Swear, who plays John Davison. And I was like, this is his category. This is a chance where he maybe wins. And I was amazed that he actually did. I was really pleased. This was like, at this point of the evening, this was my favourite win of the night. And I think he maybe knew he might stand a chance, because he did have a speech prepared, which was nice.
Yeah.
So he kind of went up and, it was kind of cool to see that.
I say up until this point, I hadn't watched I Swear yet. But now that I've seen it, he deserves it. 100%. There is no argument. Like, generally, if you didn't know he was an actor, you would believe that he generally had Tourette's. He's just so good in the role and so heartfelt, and the way he carries it, like, you just feel for him. I was crying. My mum was crying. It's such a powerful movie. If you haven't seen, I swear, I know we'll get into it later, but
Yeah.
you need to see that movie.
Next up, we have film not in the English language, and I had managed to see only 2 of these this year. First up, we had the Palestinian film, The Voice of Hind Rajab, which Claire really mentioned a lot when we had her on when she did that was one of her picks from the London Film Festival. And that was a really powerful film by Kofa Ben Hania. It was kind of a docudrama mixed with an actual documentary. And it was about a young Palestinian girl called Hind Rajab who was injured in a bombing, and she's trapped under a car, and they're on the phone with her trying to get help for her.
Oh,
So
good. Yeah, I remember.
you know it's going to be a heavy film.
Mhm.
But what they did is they had actors acting the parts in the thing, but they actually used the parts
Wow.
of the call in the film. Yeah, I think I do want to watch it at some point, but I need to be mentally prepared to watch something like that.
It's one of the. It sounds like one of them sort of films that you have to watch. You watch it, but it's going to ruin your month.
Yeah,
You know
exactly.
what I mean?
Next, we had a film called Sirat, which I don't know anything about, except for everyone seems to love it. And the clip they showed at the BAFTAs really didn't help me have any idea what it was about either. It was a clip with a guy just like dancing in the desert to like with big speakers, and I was like, "What
Yeah,
is
very
this film?"
strange.
Next up, we have a film I only saw last week, which was it was the last film on my top 10 Oscar nominations, The Secret Agent with Wagner Moura, who everyone knows as Escobar from Narcos. This man, because of the prosthetics and the weight he put on to play Escobar, he gets younger every year. Because you see him when he was in Civil War, it's like, damn, he looks 20 years younger than he did. And like again, and this is a really awesome Brazilian film about the corruption of the regime in the 1970s. Again, the casting in this was superb because everyone literally felt real. It didn't feel like I was watching a load of rich movie stars in it. Like everyone felt really real. The casting was, so good in it, and the tension in it, and just the way it builds and builds and builds to this big inflection point at the end of the film. And when it comes, you're just like, oh shit! It's an amazing film. I'd honestly seek it out as soon as you get a chance. Next, you had It Was Just an Accident, which was an Iranian film. And again, I've heard about this. I haven't had the chance to see this because it's not been screened around where I am yet. And I believe it's about some men who are at a wedding and then they recognize someone who maybe had captured them and tortured them previously. And so they kidnap them and take them out to the desert. And then
Wow.
they're not sure whether they've got the right guy or not. So it sounds like drama, part comedy, but
Yeah,
everyone's
potential comedy.
raved about it. But of course, the winner was always going to be Sentimental Value, which it's the Stellan Skarsgård show. And well, I say Stellan Skarsgård, the other lady, and I apologize, I'm not going to murder her name, who was up for Best Supporting Actress. And then, of course, Renata Resva, who was up for Best Actress as well, who I think most people know her from a couple of years ago when she did The Worst Person in the World, which I also believe was the same director's previous film. And this is a film about a daughter played by Resva and her sister played by Lily and their father Stellan, who just don't get on. And then he's a filmmaker who wants to make a film and she doesn't want to do it. So he gets in the top American actress at the time, which is Elle Fanning. I was like, holy shit, that's Elle Fanning. And then, of course, those scenes are in English.
Yeah.
And I mean, she did Predator Badlands and this, they came out about the same time. And you're like, oh
she
shit,
was good in Badlands, so good.
Yeah, for time's sake, unfortunately, I'm not going to have time to go through every category. I do want to go into quickly another one I was very happy about, and that was Best Supporting Actress, and that was Wunmi Masako. And she was alongside, again, obviously for Sinners, but again, she's one of these actresses where you see her, she's brilliant in everything. She was nominated alongside Odessa Azon from Mighty Supreme, Inga Ibsdotter Lilias, yay, I can say her name when it's in front of me, from Sentimental Value, Carrie Mulligan from The Ballad of Wallace Island, which, again, brilliant performance. Tiana Taylor from One Battle After Another, again, brilliant performance. And Emily Watson from Hamlet, who, again, good performance. It's weird because when I look at these categories, I'm kind of like, I almost break it down to screen time. Like, are they really a supporting role or are they really a main role? And for me, I'd say Odessa Azon is more of a, okay, is she in it more than Gwyneth Paltrow in Mighty Supreme? It's a flip of a coin, really. And again, Mulligan's not in a large portion of The Ballad of Wallace Island. And I think Wunmi Masako's performance in Sinners, though, is just so good. It's so heartfelt and it just takes you there, doesn't it?
I was going to talk about the supporting actor, how I'm rather surprised that Stellan Skarsgård didn't win Best Supporting Actor. and didn't win really a lot because he was nominated a few times. And I'm actually surprised. He did an interview here. He said he's never been to the BAFTA before and that he's never won a BAFTA. And I'm quite surprised because he is a brilliant actor. He's been in a lot of brilliant movies, but never won a BAFTA.
The best supporting one, it was a lot of people thought it was Stellan's, didn't they? I think
Yeah.
in the
Like generally, like if you see all the interviews beforehand, before the show started, the interviews, they said Stellan's got it, and then Sean Penn. And I was shocked. I was like, again, I haven't seen one back to the other, but I was like, really? Sean Penn?
Sean Penn is really good in it. But then, and that's the difference, right? I would say Sean Penn is almost like the co-lead of that film alongside DiCaprio.
Because you got Benicio del Toro's in that as well, isn't it?
And Del Toro isn't in it a lot. Like that's, we're not talking Judi Dench screen time, but it's not far off it. He has maybe a handful of scenes in the whole film, and it's a long film. He has maybe 10, 15 minutes of screen time, I'd guess. Whereas Penn is in it a lot. Jacob Elordi, come on, he's the male lead really of Frankenstein. So again, it's Mescal. Arguably, I thought Mescal might have stood a chance because he is amazing for the third or fourth year in a row and everything he's done. And that clip they show of him when he's trying to direct Hamlet on stage is one of his best scenes, I think.
Peter Mullen in I Swear. Again,
that's a nice nomination. I think that's one of those nominations where you're like, just getting the nomination is enough recognition there, sadly, because he's not going to compete with these heavyweights. But Mullen's always brilliant.
Like the scene they used to show off how good he was, I was like, when he's in the courtroom, I was like, yeah, I love that scene.
Best special effects, obviously it was going to be Avatar. It just was.
If it wasn't, I'd be surprised.
And I was like, Frankenstein would have been nice. F1 did some good stuff. House of Train Your Dragon, again, it was just a redo of the original. It did look. I'd never watched the originals, so I actually went into that and enjoyed it a lot because I hadn't seen them, so I wasn't comparing it. And then I don't know why The Lost Bus is nominated. Me and my dad watched that and we're like, it's
haven't seen it.
Outstanding British film where there are 10 nominations, and some films I don't think should be nominated.
No.
So we had Hamlet, absolutely. 28 years later.
I haven't seen it yet, but I've heard the Bone Temple's a lot better.
It's good, but not great. 28 years later, like I really enjoyed it, but then I enjoyed the Bone Temple more. Ballad of Wallace Island, absolutely hands down, should have been the winner for best British outstanding British film. Bridget Jones' Mad About the Boy, no, you should not even be nominated because you were made for streaming and only eventually released. It didn't come out in the cinema in America; it went straight to streaming.
Oh no, I didn't know
Apparently
that.
So. You then have Die My Love, which Lynn Ramsey, and again, I haven't seen this myself yet, but everyone says it's really good because Lynn Ramsey, it's always good, and Jennifer Lawrence and
Batman, what's his name?
Batman.
Twilight Boy.
Jennifer Lawrence and Batman.
Can't remember his name.
Cedric Diggory.
Yeah, Cedric Diggory. Twilight Boy.
Twilight Boy. How can we not remember his name? Robert Pattinson. Pattinson. There we go. So Die My Love nominated. Haven't seen it. H is for Hawk, which again, it's a new one with Claire Foy that came out literally a week or two ago. There was an early screening and I missed it. And I was like, oh, this feels like your standard kind of like British feel-good film. I wasn't seeing this as an outstanding film of the year. And then, of course, we had I Swear, which, again, I thought that would be the category where I Swear would win. Mr. Burton, starring Toby Jones, I'd never heard of. When I saw that, I was like, I have no idea what this film is. It was one of those ones that didn't jump out at me. Pillion, which I saw and did really enjoy, although it is very explicit and a hard watch if you're not prepared for those kind of scenes.
Is it like Saltburn?
It makes Saltburn look like Teletubbies in places.
Jesus, I don't think I want to watch it.
That's the gay biker film with Alexander Skarsgård and Dudley Dursley.
Wow.
I think 7 people got up and left at the first scene where they get together in an alleyway.
Wow.
It's and then there was a picnic. It was not the teddy. Well, it was the bears' picnic actually, but not the teddy bears' picnic. And then the Cillian Murphy Netflix film Steve. So I'm thinking again, I don't know what it's about.
Never heard of it.
From that category, I wanted I Swear or Ballad of Wallace Island to win. Instead, Hamlet won. But then when Hamlet won, I was like, that means it's not picking up anything else later. Screenplay. Let's go to original screenplay, and it was Sinners, and Ryan Coogler got to go up on stage, which is great. I Swear was also nominated. Mighty Supreme was nominated. Secret Agent and Sentimental Value. So again, really happy there with Sinners because again, it's a clever original idea.
Original score, Sinners won, but it should have went to the ballad.
It wasn't even nominated though.
But it should have been nominated, and it should have gone to that because again, if you've seen the movie, all the music is original for the film, all of it, and it's folky. It is like it's right up my alley. And obviously, Neil, you've introduced me to some other folk singers that I want to
Folk Bitch Trio, a brilliant name.
Which I am quite. I like my folk music, but when I watched this, I was like, oh my god, I didn't realize how much I actually really, really like it. And I became like Tim Key in that movie. I was like, oh my god, look, play music. Go on, keep going. I like it.
Maguire and Mortimer, yes.
Yeah.
This moves us on to the big two, because we've obviously done best film, best director.
Yeah.
And the focus is always on the actors and what they're wearing and these things, let's do lead actress. And our nominees were Emma Stone for Begonia, who sadly didn't stand a chance this year, let's be honest.
No.
Renetta Rensva for Sentimental Value, again, probably didn't stand a chance this time. Chase Infinity, One Battle After Another, again, maybe she did. Yeah, she definitely did. Kate Hudson in Song Sung Blue, again, this is one of my, how did this get nominated? Like, I'm not saying she's been a brilliant actress in other stuff. I just don't see why this film was getting any attention. For me, it was down to two actresses, and it was Rose Byrne for If I Had Legs I'd Kick You, which is an astonishing performance, and a film I never want to watch again because it was so horrifying, despite being a drama. It was a drama about motherhood disguised as a horror film. It was the sound design, and that should have been nominated because it was just terrifying. But no, the winner, it went to Jessie Buckley for Hamnet, and that's about as nailed on as an award you can expect for someone to win, I think, this award season.
See, Hamnet's one of them films, and no offense to me, I'm sure it's great. It's a film I'm not interested in watching because I'm just not that interested in William Shakespeare.
Do you know what, though? Because it's the imagined life of him.
Well, that's the thing, because we don't really know that much about Shakespeare, so yeah. So
I think you'll really enjoy it. And you'll be emotionally destroyed by it, like everyone.
I'll get round to it eventually.
The thing with Jessie Buckley's performance in it, why it's won, is yes, she has those big Oscar style moments where she's childbirth, so she's like that. It's that kind of. You always find when it comes to acting awards, the louder, more shoutier, the more overcoming an obstacle performance is the one that usually wins. But bizarrely, it's towards the end of the film when she's watching the play and it's her reaction shots there. And you see in the reaction shots her go through every emotion you can think of. And it's probably that seals it. So she's already done the louder, more histrionic acting earlier on in the film. And then she absolutely does a completely different style at the end. And so I think that's why you're just like, holy shit, she is amazing. It's honestly like, like an improv show. Right, now you're feeling hungry and you see it on the face. Right, now you're feeling this. And every time you're kind of cutting back to her from the play, you're just like, wow, okay. What's more interesting, what's on stage or what's happening on her face? That's how good. But any other year, Rose Byrne would be absolutely taking that one away as well. So now this brings us on to lead actor. And as we all well know, the biggest upset of the evening. Or it is the biggest upset if you haven't watched the BAFTAs and are just listening to us now. First up, we had Jesse Plemons for Begonia. I love Jesse Plemons. He will win an Oscar one day.
He will.
He is fantastic. He was never getting a look in this year, sadly. Michael B. Jordan for Sinners, who, again, I was expecting to be in the conversation. I was thinking it's gonna be Michael B. Jordan or it's gonna be Timothée Chalamet for Mighty Supreme. I didn't think DiCaprio, as good as he was in with the running this year.
No.
And my one nomination that I was really surprised about and I was happy to see was Ethan Hawke for Blue Moon. Because again, it's a tiny little Richard Linklater film. It takes place over the course of one evening in pretty much one location with the one group of actors. Yeah, so let's give Blue Moon a little bit of a rub here because not a lot of people have talked about it. So it's basically about Rodgers and Hammerstein, the famous musical composers. Ethan Hawke plays a guy called, I think his name's Roger Hart. Definitely Hart. And he was one of these. Oh, I've forgotten it already. Brilliant. He plays one of these guys' previous partner, and then when his partner leaves and starts working with the other guy, they first place Oklahoma and they become superstars.
Yeah.
And so he's kind of like the odd man out. And the film takes place on the night of Oklahoma's premiere. And like immediately someone says, "Oh, what did you think?" And he's like, he slags it off and he rips it a new one. And then he goes to the bar and he's like, "Oh, what did you think?" And he's like, "Oh, it's so good." And like he gets progressively drunker and more two-faced as the night goes on. He keeps trying to hit on Margaret Qualley as a great little cameo in this film. She comes into it about halfway through. This is filmmaking. This is performance. This is so good. I was just happy Hawke was nominated for it. Again, even he knew he probably wasn't going to win for it. And of course, the one performance that we were all surprised to see nominated was Robert Aramayo for I Swear. But of course, we knew he stood absolutely no chance of winning because he'd already just won the Rising Star Award.
I think even he probably didn't think, like, when you see his face, he's like, are you sure?
We saw his face, Luke, because he absolutely fucking won it and no one called it. And he didn't, where he had a speech prepared, I think, for the Rising Star Award, he definitely didn't for winning Best Actor.
I think everybody thought it was going to be Chalamet.
Yeah.
And even I was, because I haven't seen Mark Supreme, but it's always Timothy Chalamet lately because he's so good and
He
he's
wants
nearly
it
everything
as well. He's
it's
doing all the
back to, like, you
campaigning.
believe it. Like, yeah, no, it would be. So when it was Robert, I was like, okay, fair play. But again, that was me before I'd watched I Swear. Now I've seen it, I'm like, yes. If he didn't win it, I would have been very angry. And that's what this BAFTA shows me. We were saying before we started recording. One thing that I've learned from watching the BAFTAs is that there's a lot of movies that I haven't seen that I need to go back and watch because
it was a really strong year. It was a really good year.
2025 was a good year for film.
And yet most of them only came out in the UK in January. So that's why I went to cinema, I think, about 15 times in January.
Yeah, I remember you saying you was like back and forth every day. You and Neil. I mean, you and
David did very well for someone who has a toddler. I was amazed.
Yeah.
And then he did say, when I said that to him, he goes, Neil, because I have a toddler, it's precisely why I'm in the cinema.
Yeah.
As much as I can be.
It's my day off.
I was like, fair enough. Like I say, it was great to see Robert Aramayo win for his portrayal of John Davidson, the Tourette's sufferer and campaigner, who the film was based on his life story. But my favourite part of the whole ceremony, hands down, was his little interaction with Ethan Hawke. So in his speech,
Yes.
he mentions that Ethan Hawke came and gave a speech when he was at school learning his craft. And he just said, what you taught me, all the lessons I learned from you, I was trying to take that into my career. And it cuts back to Hawke. And Hawke's just sitting, he turns to the person next to him and just goes, well, that's better than winning. Yeah. I was like, he's such a dude, man.
It's what I love about Ethan Hawke. He's like, he's been in the industry that long since he was young, that he knows
since Explorers.
Yes, Explorers.
Since the film Explorers that I only watched
a long time.
I rewatched Explorers about 2 weeks ago.
And, I thought his first role was Dead Post Society. I didn't realise his first.
He was 14 in Explorers.
Wow.
Alongside River Phoenix, who was playing the geeky kid in it, not like the cool kid, and another young kid who I've never heard of since, who didn't go on to really do anything. And I was watching it, and I was like, man, you can just see the Ethan Hawke-ness of Ethan Hawke, even at 14 in it.
Yeah, you never doubt the Hawk.
And it was directed by Joe Dante as well, of Gremlins fame. So I was just watching this, and it's about 3 kids who just make a spaceship and go into space, and then meet up with a bunch of space kids in Aliens. It's a beautiful little 1985 film. I
haven't seen that actually in a long time. I've got to go back and watch that movie now.
Yeah, just you're watching the Hawk in it, man. It's just brilliant. So sadly, Luke, this brings us on to the bad bit of the evening.
I know, we've got to do serious face now.
So when I first started watching the BAFTAs, I thought I could hear someone yelling out in the audience occasionally.
Same, yeah.
And then halfway through, I clicked and I was like, oh, wait a minute, I swear, it's probably John Davidson. So obviously, if you're making a film about this guy's life, he's going to be there in the audience. And then apparently, Delroy Lindo on stage presenting an award. He yelled out racist slur at them. Now, you and me both said we couldn't make that out on the broadcast. No. We couldn't tell what was being said. You just heard someone yelling out at them and then seeing that they obviously looked shocked on stage.
Yeah.
Then developed this whole shitstorm nationally and online after this, where everyone was, because when it was found out what was said, and I was like, oh, brilliant. When I went online the next day, I was just like, oh, okay, so everyone is suddenly an expert in Tourette syndrome.
Oh, God.
And I literally tweeted out, I said, if you want to understand this situation, just watch the film.
Yeah.
Davidson himself came out with an apology about it, and BAFTA have done it. And Davidson should not have to apologise.
No, he should not.
Because he was invited there to celebrate a film about his life and the work he has spent his life doing and the struggles he has overcome. At the same time, some more care should have been taken by BAFTA and the BBC.
Yeah.
I know they did pre-warn and explain what Davidson might do. So when Michael B. Jordan and Delroy Lindo were on stage presenting an award, and they heard that horrible slur from Davidson, again they carried it off well. They obviously were shocked at hearing it, but then they were able to continue and do their job professionally. This is where we get into the problem: is why did the BBC air it if the show was on a time delay?
Yeah, same as you. As soon as it happened, I didn't hear it. It did not register at all. And then the next day, my phone blew up, and even today, recording this a couple of days after, Twitter is still aflame with it, and there's TikTok videos and there's all kinds of things. And you are right, like why didn't they cut it out? Or why didn't the BBC, or why does he have to say, why does John have to apologize? It's one of these different things where it's such a sort of moment.
Both things can be right.
Yeah,
right? He
but
shouldn't apologise, and also they shouldn't have been subjected to it.
yeah,
So
I agree with you. You know, because of all the things that I've seen online, my answer to all of it has been: have none of you watched the movie? If you
right,
watch the movie, you understand completely that it's not his fault. He can't help it. He shouldn't have to apologize. If anything, who should apologize is the BBC and the BAFTAs.
yeah,
Apparently, from what I've heard from reports, Michael B. Jordan and Delroy both said that when they came off the stage, somebody should have come to them from the BBC. Nobody did.
yeah,
And
and
really, it should have
explained
been,
what had happened and what was going
yeah,
on.
it should
But
have been
then
down to the BBC really and the
But
BAFTA.
then I thought they'd explain that at the start. I
Yeah,
thought they were, because I'd read that somewhere that Alan Cumming had done an interview with him that was played on the big screen inside the venue to
yeah,
explain it all to everyone. The only positive I can get out of this, and I'm sure, like, so we'll feel pretty sorry for John Davison,
mm,
because, like you said, it is involuntary. He can't control what he said. I think it's even in the film, because I haven't seen it for a few months since I originally saw it. He will say the worst possible thing he can say in any given situation.
yeah,
That is what one of his ticks do. So, if there's someone of colour in front of him, he's going to say something racist.
mm,
If there's someone of a different sexuality, he's going to run out a gay slur.
yeah,
There's a bit from the film when he literally meets Maxine Peake's character and he knows
yeah,
she's got cancer. It's
yeah,
like, you old
yeah,
bitch, you're going to die of cancer. And you're
yeah,
like, holy fuck, as you're watching it. And that's what the film does really well is,
mm,
vaguely remember seeing the original documentary in the 80s when it was on TV called John's Not Mad, and it
yeah,
was following his story at that point. And that's what the film does so well. When you see someone acting like that and swearing uncontrollably, it is funny. You do
yeah,
laugh. You're not supposed to, but if a kid sees that, they're going to laugh.
yeah,
Oh, someone's swearing. Oh, that's funny. It shouldn't be. And what the film does is, okay, it makes its peace with that. Yes, it can seem funny, but then it shows you the toll it has on the man
yeah.
behind it, and that's why the film for me was such an emotional roller coaster,
Oh
because
God,
things are going really well for it. Oh, and then
yeah,
it's not,
fools.
because of his disease,
Yeah,
and then it's going really well for him. And then, what's good is the film foregrounds that it's going to have a happy ending, because it starts at the end of the film with
yeah,
him getting his award from the Queen,
mm,
where of course he swears at the Queen.
yeah. Or I generally was worried of like because he has the spasms where he can't help not. I thought, please don't go try and punch the Queen by accident. So with him just like calling the Queen what he calls her again, I'm not going to repeat it. I was like, okay, that's quite mild considering what could have happened. But this is what I love about the movie. You have moments of like really funny moments where you can't help but laugh and giggle, especially when in the courtroom and some of the things that he says there. I'm like dying laughing. But at the same stage, you do get the heartfelt moments. You're like, oh my God, this. I feel because as you said, when he has his highs, then the low comes, and you're like, oh God.
Well, the black Scottish actor who played his lawyer did a video to
Yeah,
defend
yeah,
him
I
as
saw
well,
that.
didn't he,
Yeah, he
today?
defended him. Yeah,
And I forget the girl's name, but there was there's a young black girl who has the
yeah,
same tics,
yeah,
and her video was the one that I'd seen that was most widely shared,
yeah,
and it was her saying, "Look, it's." I think the main thing that people didn't realise was that people were like, "Well, if he says it, he's thinking it."
yeah.
No, it's
No,
all involuntary, and I
yeah.
think that was the biggest thing. And I suppose if we try and end this on a positive note, the single most positive thing to come out of it is a hell of a lot more people are now being
Awareness.
educated
Yeah,
about exactly awareness. A hell of a lot more people are now being educated about what Tourette's syndrome is
yeah.
because of the film and because of that unfortunate incident. So
Mm,
hopefully, everyone connected with it. I'd love to see this, because the film's not even out in America yet.
no.
So now with all this backlash against it, when it comes out there, I hope inadvertently it's raised the profile of the film, and
Yeah.
obviously again of Robert Arameo's performance, which is just, I wonder if he'll get nominated for Best Actor next year at the Oscars for this now.
I hope so. I really hope he does.
Obviously we've got a whole year of films in front of us, but yeah,
Yeah. Well, I do hope he does, but I do also hope that, no real sort of backlash comes to John Davison as well. Of
I
like,
don't think it will. I
I
think
don't think it will, but I just feel like there are people online that are trying to sort of paint him as somebody he's not. And I'm trying to, me online, and I'm sure you as well, and everybody else is trying to defend him, but look, he can't help it. It's not his fault. And that he shouldn't be sort of, because there were people saying that, oh, if he's got this condition, he shouldn't be there. And I'm like, well, no, it's a story about his life. Of course he's going
yeah,
to be
he
there.
absolutely should be there.
Yeah, and yeah, I
It's
don't.
it's the
Yeah,
most ableist thing you can ever hear, isn't it? Oh
mm,
wait, we can't have the disabled person at the ceremony in case they create a scene that upsets regular people.
well,
No,
there's a
that's
brilliant
so
scene in the
wrong.
movie about giving anything away. one actor basically makes a note of, like, if you had a blind person that came in here and crashed into everything, or bumped into people, that wouldn't be in court. But because you have somebody with Tourette's who can't help it, who did something, as we know from what he did in the film, is now in court, is now, and it's one of those. It's like, why is one thing different than the other? You know what I mean? It's fact of it's in variety. He can't help it. It's a real thing. Simple as that. But yeah, I agree. I'm glad it's growing awareness now that people are now aware of the movie. People are watching the movie. The movie's now coming to Netflix on the 1st of March.
In a couple of weeks, yeah.
So nobody's got an excuse not to see it.
Everyone's going to watch it.
Yeah. And it's one of those, like, I watched it and I went to all my friends and family of, like, you've got to watch this movie. I spread it all over social media of, like, watch this movie.
Again, when I saw it, I think we had it as a secret screening last year sometime. And I went to see it, and again, at that point, I was the only person on the podcast who'd seen the bloody film, so it didn't make our top 10.
Yeah.
That and Wallace Island were they were in my top 5 films of the year, I think.
Which I am sorry for that it took me so long to get around to both of them, but trust me.
Next year, Luke, we're gonna rig it so that you're on the top 10 shows and films of the year episode.
I'm not. I love collecting physical media, but I don't tend to collect newer movies. Because again, it sounds bad to say, I'm going to let loads of people on my back for it, but because they're so easily accessible online, streaming and that, I don't bother. This movie is probably the first movie in a long time where I've gone, I want to go out to the shop and I want to get this, I want to own it, because it's that good a piece of cinema that I want to have in my
Slight
hand.
tangent, because you're mentioning physical media. Did you see that coming to the Criterion collection, Frankenstein, which is a Netflix film, so we're actually getting a Criterion of Frankenstein, and this is brilliant because half the internet's gone, this is terrible, what are you doing? And the half are going, no, that's brilliant, it's going to make them a ton of money. K-pop Demon Hunters is getting a Criterion edition.
I'm not surprised at all. That is going to make stupid money.
And then that's literally what the best comment I saw online. Someone said, right, yes, it's not going to sit alongside your French classic new wave or your 50s film noirs, but it's going to make that amount of money for Criterion that it will allow them to go and make another 10 restorations of those classic films that you love that no one has seen or heard of.
I think it's a brilliant idea.
Yeah, brilliant idea. So I generally don't buy as many new films because the special editions are out. I'm a big fan of boutique studios like Second Sight Films and Arrow are my two go-tos. But Second Sight, man, just the care and effort. Like, obviously the technical aspects where they remaster everything. But I've got The Witch, I've got Drive, I've got The Nice Guys, Boiling Point.
I bought that recently.
I haven't.
25th anniversary edition. You can't see it, it's blurred. But
I know,
this is by Vision's home video, and they do a fantastic job with it. And the special features are brilliant as well.
I've got the original Canadian import of it from back in the day.
Wow.
Because I've got everything that Kevin Smith's released up until probably.
If you want it signed, if you buy it from Kevin Smith's store, he will sign it and post it to you, so you'll get a signed version.
That's what my clerk's script on my shelf is. Signed by Kevin Smith.
Nice.
Yeah. On a more positive note, as we've gone off-piste and it's late and I need food, I think that's it for a mainly memorable BAFTAs episode. For mostly the wrong reasons. Dear BBC and BAFTA, you handled it badly. Luke, where can people find you on the socials?
You can find me at the Howdy Beans podcast on all socials. I'm on Twitter, I'm on Instagram, I'm on TikTok. So just type the Howdy Beans podcast, you find me there. And to find the actual podcast itself, just go to Spotify, YouTube, Apple, and all podcasting platforms, and you'll find me there.
And if you want more We Needed Roads nonsense, you can find us, everywhere. We're on Twitter at Needed Roads, Instagram at We Needed Roads, and TikTok at We Needed Roads Podcast. And you can follow me personally at Neil_Gregory78 on Instagram and Threads. Get involved with Threads, people. Honestly, it's my favourite social media at the minute. I just love the way the algorithm, you type in, you like a couple of posts about a show or a movie, and then that's all you see, but in a good way. So you're suddenly like, oh, you're surrounded by people who like the same things you do. And if your echo chamber is not full of knobheads, then it's a really good place to be. So big fan. Give us a follow on Threads. We Needed Roads is available on all major podcast platforms. We'd love if you subscribe to us on YouTube and gave us a follow on Spotify, where you can see the full video episodes as well as hear us. We've been We Needed Roads, and you should all go and watch, I swear.
You should.
We Needed Roads.
What are you looking at?